Welcome friends, week 22 here for the Rosso Home Coffee Plant. And we are traveling all the way to Brazil. You'll be tasting an Ethiopian heirloom varietal from a famed farm called Santuário Sul. And the team at the farm are very curious about innovation through coffee processing and varietals. So the lot we picked is obviously an Ethiopian heirloom from Yirgacheffe in Ethiopia. And these trees are planted at the very top of the farm, and the altitude is about 1,300 to 1,450 meters above sea level. And for Brazil, this is very high. So this week, we're gonna change it up a bit and go with a famous iced coffee recipe. So today I'm gonna add 200 grams of these beautiful ice cubes. To 200 grams of ice cubes to the bottom of our brewer. It's important we weigh our ice. I know it sounds crazy, but we don't want to dilute our beverage too much. So if we just put in a bunch, we don't weigh it when our ratio and how much coffee we brew through. It'll either make the coffee really watery, or if we don't have enough ice, it'll be just kind of a warmish beverage. So we want to make it nice and cold, but keep the brew strength correct. Next, we've got 30 grams of our coffee from Santuário Sul. It's more of a finer grind this week than we would normally use on a V60. The reason being is we want to increase our brew strength and bring a little more body into the coffee. All right, so let's add our 30 grams. Make sure our V60 is nice and flat. Get all the coffee in there. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna stick with a ratio of, for every gram of coffee we put in, we're gonna add 10 grams of water. So our ratio, we got 30 grams of coffee, so we're gonna add 300 grams of water. We're gonna do this in 3 pours or 3 flushes, and each one being 45 seconds long. So let's start off with that. So I want to be in a circular motion, kind of saturating all the coffee like we normally do with a V60. Hit my 100 grams. Slowly let that pour through. And we can look right away at our brew and see if our ice is diluting too fast. We're just going to make a big watery beverage. So 200 grams looks about right. Okay, we'll add our next flush here. For 100 grams. So that'll bring us to 200. So the 1 to 10 strength, again, it's about increasing body. We don't want it diluted too much, and it'll bring a good kind of syrupy mouthfeel to the iced beverage itself, and we'll bring some new unique notes just because we have such a tight coffee ratio. On average, people are usually brewing like 1 to 16. So this is quite a bit finer. Okay, our third pour here, we're gonna go to 300 grams. Voila. And now we just let this slowly draw down. I'll give it one quick swirl, kind of incorporate all the coffee if it was any on the sides. Okay, so we're all done. V60's done brewing. Just transfer that off. We got our nice iced coffee here. So the ice cubes are still intact, which is good. Beverage is nice and cold. It smells pretty good. Okay, let's find out how I did. It's always in the cup. So I don't normally drink iced coffee. This is a bit of a treat. It's like 32 degrees today and our AC's been cut off, so it's a tad hot in here. Really refreshing. That brew ratio, it kind of brings out more like sweet notes. There's like some caramels, some low tones like nuts, chocolate. There is a bit of like an interesting, definitely like Ethiopian kind of note of like, I would say ever so slightly like a little bit of blueberry. It's actually quite good. I think this recipe leads to like a really cold, chilling, refreshing beverage. And I think with Suntory Sul, this kind of style of coffee really works well as an iced beverage. Tips to note when you're making an iced beverage like this: the amount of coffee to ice ratio is important, so always thinking about that. So some people want it ice cold and lots of ice in their drink. You could add another 100 grams, 200 grams of ice. Won't dilute it too much. And then anytime you're thinking of how much coffee to put in, you think of your ratio of ground coffee to ice, because that's going to dilute it. So always make the ratio of coffee to water tighter. So like 1:10, 1:12, always helps bring out more body, more sweetness. And if you were to drink that just as a regular coffee, would be very intense. So we want some of that intensity to make it through as it gets diluted with ice. We'll see you next time. Thanks.